Hello, friends and listeners from all across the globe. Thank you so much for tuning back into another episode of The Yogi Show. Here we are on episode number 7. Yogi, Brian, and I had the pleasure of connecting with our friend Anton Wisbiski. Anton is an incredible content creator that specializes in making viral video content that has taken the internet by storm with over 60 million views. He's a beautiful light and has some amazing insight on meditation, mindfulness, awareness, along with raising the collective consciousness of humanity. He also loves ice baths, which I found so intriguing this episode. I'm just excited to give it a try someday. I don't know if you ever tried ice baths, but you're going to want to after this. This episode has inspired me to break through limits of my own comfort zone, and I hope it does the same for you. So fasten your yoga straps and let's go for a ride. All right, thank you so much for being on the show, Mr. Anton Wisbiski. We are so grateful that you're here with Brian and I. Welcome to the show, my friend.
What's up, man? Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Dude, we've been waiting on this. Brian, how pumped are you right now?
I am stoked, bruh. Super stoked.
Level 1 to a million, stoked, bruh. So super grateful, man. So Anton, we met. So Brian has never met Anton in person. You know what's so funny? I just thought about this literally right this second as soon as we hit that record button, is that I met both of you guys on the same trip to LA.
Boom.
Like I met you, Anton, and the next day, or like that next same weekend is when I met Brian for the first time a few months ago. Like that's insane.
Yeah.
And now here we are on a podcast, man.
That must have been an amazing trip for you, Pedro. I mean, Anton, then you got to meet me. And
you're one
boom.
lucky guy, bro.
Dude, I'm grateful AF, man. To be in the company of you guys, man. Amazing. We went to the Café Gratitude down there in Venice, man. That was a fun time, dude. Remember that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, man. The best times, dude. And you know, we connected over. So Anton and I connected over social media, I think when you were working with Vibe Source back in the day, we connected about that, you know, and having just deep conversations. And you know, I think it's a good kickoff point for this call would be like, how did you, like, you're young. Like, how old are you, bro? How old are you?
I'm 23.
23, bro, 23. Like, I didn't even know what awareness or mindfulness, yoga. I didn't know what any of that was at 23. Brian, I would assume the same for you.
I'm trying to remember when I was 23. I had no clue what was going on in life.
My dad always tells me I've lived multiple lifetimes.
Dude.
Like by the age I'm 23, and I'm like, dang, that's a really interesting thought for me to ponder.
But it's true. I mean, you have done some amazing things, and just like the deep conversations I know that we've had and that we'll dive into on this call, really, it's just like, honestly, like old soul lived multiple lifetimes, just have woken the fuck up and are really super aware, man. And like, that's kind of where I want to kick it off with, like, how old were you when you had that like woke feeling? Like, what was that like for you? Like, do you remember the switch? Do you remember it?
Dude, I think I've been like this my whole life.
Wow.
Obviously, when I was young, I used to get extreme anxiety. Like, I'm talking like 12, 13 years old. I used to get extreme anxiety when I would look up in the sky and see the stars and see the moon. I'd be like so mind blown that we were on this floating rock, like flying through space, and there's this thing called the moon. And I was just always just so curious as to what the heck this reality was. And I always questioned. A lot of that turned into like severe anxiety when I was young, because I just didn't understand, and I always just felt like such an outcast and an outlier. And of course, we can get into all that, but
sure,
as I got older, I just, I got around some really good mentors and some really successful, powerful people, and got introduced to the law of attraction, which just opened up the door for me to dive deeper into these spiritual topics. And now I'm at the point, man, where I just kind of chase the mystical. I chase the magic. I love the unknown. And I think that's where, when you develop your spirituality, I think that's when life starts to get really purposeful and just so much more fulfilling. So
love the response 100%. To that question. 100% on that. So you're saying from the inception, it's like you had this state of like heightened awareness always is basically like how I would put that in. Yes.
I think so. I think awareness is a skill almost, and it's developed over time as you evolve more. But I think I've always been pretty hyper aware, especially as a kid. And it may have been more fear based when I was younger, but it was still a level of awareness.
Maybe with that anxiety, knowing you're on this rock so fast on this universe, knowing that there's something else out there. And that is pretty deep to think about at a young age. I mean, a different doorway was open, perspective, perception.
Yeah, I think so, man. My friends used to think I was so weird because when there was a full moon, I would just I couldn't fathom it. I just did not understand. I was like, what is that thing? Like, what's a moon? Like, what does that even mean? It's this glowing rock, like the sun. Like, I just didn't understand. I was so curious, and I don't know why. Like, they looked at the moon and like, dude, it's just the moon. I'm like, what do you mean it's just the moon? Like, what the heck is the moon?
Yeah, right.
What do you mean it's just the moon?
I've been like that since I was young.
It's just the moon.
Carried over into my older,
into your older 23-year-old self, man. I feel like I got old cricky bones over here, man. Like, oh my god. So have you always been like knowing that, like always been like self-starter, like personal growth, like kind of on your own?
Well, I think I've always been like, I guess, an entrepreneur. I mean, since I was super young, I was selling things, I was flipping things, I was always trying to make money. So I had
flip life,
just like a really big drive to just be myself and do it by myself. I was a skateboarder as well, so that carried over into everything I do, because as a skateboarder, you don't have a coach, you don't have really anybody training you. It's all yourself. And, I really thrived when I was just battling me. I didn't do well when I was like listening to a coach. Like, I always loved the guidance, but I was so, my competition was always myself. And it was like that in everything I did. So I guess to answer your question, yeah, I've always kind of been just like self-motivated, and I've pretty much been an entrepreneur since I was 16. So yeah.
Dude, living that flip.
Yeah, what's your biggest flip? What's your biggest flip?
Oh man, I don't.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is hilarious question. I lived with my grandma when I kind of hit like a kind of a, not a rock bottom, but just a confusing transition time in my life. And this was only a few short years ago. And she was a business owner, and she had this store, and she just had like all this stuff stored away in her basement. And I found this old, like from the 60s or 70s, this banana phone.
Banana phone?
And,
what?
Dude, I sold it on. It was like this old, I don't know, man. It was some banana phone. I sold it for like $350.
What?
And of course, I didn't pay a dollar for it. So in regards to profits, I did pretty well.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. $350 in the pocket. Gary Vaynerchuk would be very proud,
dude,
Anton.
Gary V would I was so into it, man. I made thousands of dollars flipping during that time. Yeah.
That's so amazing.
Wow, did you do the flip challenge?
No, dude, I was
challenge?
flipping before Gary V was big on this stuff.
Oh.
Yeah. I was doing that since I was super young. Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's so funny, man. You got to remember, Anton's 23, man. I'm not sure Gary was into that back then. He was selling wine and stuff, man. We're plugging Gary V right now because one day Gary V is going to be on the show. We're not sure when, but he's going to be on the show.
He's a good guy, man. I've met him.
We need you on the show, Gary V. What's up?
Okay.
I met him in New York.
Nice. Did you go to VaynerMedia?
No, I didn't go to VaynerMedia. I've met some of his people that have blown him up. My roommate, we used to work with him. So I have the connection. But yeah, I met him in New York just on the street. And
That's so
what a
cool.
cool guy, man. Took some time, like genuine, and just talked
That
to
is
me, and
awesome.
just cool.
That's amazing,
Hmm.
man. That's amazing. And that's like a,
23 meeting
yeah,
these
just
cool
doing it,
ass
man.
fuck people.
Doing it, bro.
Hmm.
You know, so along your journey, Anton, biggest supporters, like grandma, big supporter
Oh
of
my
you,
gosh, dude.
parents.
Yeah.
For a long time, I think my parents always supported me, of course. I mean, but there was a definite uphill battle, especially in my first endeavor becoming an entrepreneur. I was in this just like kind of direct sales type business, and it was all about growing your team and creating a team of distributors. And I think they just didn't understand the model of the business,
Mm,
but they saw that I was able to support myself fully financially, and that's when I think they realized I was just really different, to be honest, because I would spend my Friday nights just like reading in my room and like listening to
yeah.
successful people. And I think my dad, more so than my mom, always knew like I was going to amount to something. He always planted that in my head, which I'm so grateful
Yeah.
for today. Because as we know, the power of the subconscious mind, we're so suggestible when we're young, but he always told
Boom.
me all these good things. But yeah, I think there was always support, but I think once I proved to them like, yo, I got this, they with the results, they fully trusted me. And it wasn't always like that though. I had a turning point where, there was just some I just made some transitions in my life, and I had to move back home at 20 or yeah, 20
Mm,
around when I was 21, so just a few years ago, just because I knew I didn't want to do what I was doing, but I didn't know where to go from there. And I just needed the support from my family. And it's not that they stopped believing in me at that point, but there was definitely a level of like, yo, like you're the one that's supposed to be like super like successful and have this all figured out. And yeah, I lived with them. I lived with my grandma and my mom for I think almost a year. And then that's when I moved to LA. And now, dude,
So moving back to your parents' house at that time, was that a great decision? When you look back and you're like, that really put me ahead staying there with my parents?
um man, absolutely. I think I haven't been good with money for most of my life, so I wasn't really saving. I was always making a lot of money, but I was always spending it too. Um, but with that, I think there was a deeper, like my brother needed me at that time, and my whole life, like I told you guys, like since I was 16, I've been very self motivated. I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always been going. I've always been traveling the world. I haven't been around, especially when I moved out with my family a lot. And my parents went through a divorce, and there were some hard times within our family, especially with my father. And my brother really needed me, and so did my mom. To be honest, like I'm kind of the rock in my family, but I'm very distant as well. So moving back in, I got so close. Like our bond, I've never been that, like, I didn't even know that level of connection existed, especially with my grandparents. Like, dude, those people are just amazing. And spiritually, I think I needed to be there because I needed to do some deep rooting within myself to get grounded within my family and remind myself how important family actually is. And yeah, man, I would not change anything. I Something I do want to say is, although I moved in with my family, of course the self-doubt, of course those things played an effect, but honestly, my mind always was so set on my future and where I was going, and I never really focused on my current circumstances. And I have this really gnarly video I'm going to share one day. It's me in my grandma's basement. I show like my room, like quote unquote my room. It's literally like this little air mattress with just like my clothes on this shelf. It's really uh it looks just like I'm just kind of at rock bottom. And I made this like 10-minute video of me venting and just talking about how my current circumstances aren't dictating how I feel right now, and where I'm going is, I know it's already real, and I was saying this in the video. So yeah, man, it was a huge blessing, and it's humbling. And I think humility is important, and I definitely get those reminders from the universe.
100%.
So yeah, that was one of them. And dude, I was just so grateful for those moments because that year, dude, it's so near and dear to my heart. And now, like, me and my grandma, we used to, like, when I'd see her, it'd be whatever. But now we talk every week. Like, I call her every week. And it's just because when I lived with her, she actually got to know who Anton was. And I actually got to know who she was. Like, she wasn't my grandma anymore. She's like one of my best friends. So
That is
really
deep,
beautiful,
man.
man.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, you talked about humility.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about you were making money, but you were spending money. And I looked at an Instagram post where you bought a Mercedes when you were younger. Talk about that. Yeah, I want to hear about that.
Yeah, man, that was probably one of my greatest financial lessons to this day. When I was 17, so the business I was a part of had a car incentive, and if you hit a certain rank in the company, they quote unquote give you a company paid for car. Well, the incentive, you had to maintain a certain status in order to get that car bonus. So I didn't know that. I never was told that. So I hit the bonus and I'm on cloud a million because I'm 17 years old and I just realized I qualified for a $50,000 car. So I'm like, let's go. I didn't wait a minute, bro. I got that car, man, and I was around people who told me that the car would help grow my business because it's so much credibility, which totally was. But it was so weird because when I got the car, I didn't feel worthy to receive it. And everything went backwards very quickly because, as you guys know, the power of energy. And man, what a humbling lesson, man. What a humbling lesson. At 17 years old, I was still in high school. I'm dealing with like real financial issues when I was in high school. So I learned quick. I mean, what a quick way to learn. That's the fast track to financial intelligence right there.
Man. Dude. That's like part of waking up, though. It's like that's also part of being, absolutely, man. It's part of the journey. It's part of like learning and growing. It's like taking your L's and learning from them instead of just like, hey, that was an L, man. And like make more L's. Like, no, I'm not gonna do that. You know what I mean? Of course,
Yeah. No, I don't ever.
No,
I don't look at anything as a loss. It's always just a lesson of some sort.
Totally. Because I went back and looked I saw that Instagram post as well, Brian. So I went back and I noticed you only had like 100 and something posts. I was like, okay, so there's parts of the journey that got maybe deleted along the way, or who knows? I don't know. I was making a story in my head, or maybe you just didn't post that much. You know what I mean?
I didn't post that much. I did delete some, but I didn't post that much.
Yeah, and it's all good either way. And then I got to like the most recent post, and like so we're talking about 17-year-old Anton has a Mercedes, and like whatever happens doesn't work out, and then now it's like Anton is like making moves and making shifts in his life and like being more successful. And I swear there was a picture of a Tesla on there. I swear I saw that.
Yeah, man. I
making it happen. Making it happen.
Oh man, and it was funny, dude, because I was talking to one of my friends just like 3 weeks ago, and I'm in a really good position in my business right now, and thank you. Having like an expensive car wasn't like something on necessarily my radar, just because like I don't really value that stuff anymore. I do love cars, but I don't like. It's not like I need to have it. I'm not that type of guy. Well, I was talking to my friends like, I'm probably just going to get another Equinox or something. That's what I drove before. And then I was like, I'm just going to go to the Tesla dealership, check some stuff out. I don't know, maybe go for a test drive or something just for fun. Well, I go and I walked out with the Tesla. And dude, it's so funny because for me, it's not about the car at all. Like that's so many people think it's about the car, but it's not about the car. For me, it's about being in a position to just be able to afford something like that and have it not be such a big deal. Like it wasn't a huge deal for me to do that from a financial standpoint, which was big for me because as you guys know from my story, that was the exact opposite when I was 17 with that Mercedes. So I kind of had this chip on my shoulder that I needed to prove to myself that I could get to the point again where I could afford, $60,000 car and not even bat an eye when it comes to purchasing this thing. And I was able to do that, man. And it was just I was just proud of myself. I was like, wow, I deserve this. And this time around, it's not breaking my bank.
Yeah, right. Exactly, man. And like you've done the work to get to that point in your business, and I'd love to dive more into the business and like what you do, because I'm sure our listeners are like, okay, so like what does Anton do? Like what is he doing? And so I'll let you go into that, of course, and let them know like what's up. But how did you get from you went to LA, and obviously like, did growth start happening before you got to LA, or was that like the kickoff point is like when you got grounded in LA, and then take us on that little ride about the business?
Yeah, for sure. So I think personally, yes, I was growing a lot. And as you guys know, as we grow personally, if we're truly changing our energy, our environment's going to start to respond in unusual ways. And, my friend Spencer, who I worked with at the time, he had this opportunity arise to work with this influencer. And he was like, hey, man, do you want to go to LA? And this was something we had been talking about for some years. And I've always wanted to move to LA since I came here like 5 years ago for the first time. And I was like, yeah, bro, I'm down. Like, he's like, all right, but we have to leave in like a few days. And I was like, oh, okay. Because the
What?
opportunity was like, we needed to get there and we needed our car. So we had to drive, and it takes, 3 days to get there from Michigan. And we needed to be there, or he needed to be there for this specific shoot to be at. So yeah, man, we packed up our bags, we moved to LA. And for me, and him, like everything changed, bro. We just started getting around some really successful young people. And for me, I dealt with a lot of like loneliness when I first moved here, because you're in a whole new city with no friends, and it's a big deal. I didn't even have my car back then. I didn't bring it because we just wanted to take one car to get here quicker. And yeah, dude, I really had to go deep within myself, really, really deep to make my environment once again respond in positive ways. And I've always known that our minds are a reflection of our reality. So I always made it a priority to work on myself really hard, but it got very depressing, man. I got really low out here for the first like 6 months to a year, because Spencer, who we had a apartment with each other, he moved out like just a month in to go live with this influencer he was working with. So I was like all alone. And at the time, like my scope of work was all behind my computer. So I wasn't interacting with people on a daily basis. Like I didn't even have my car. I wasn't making a lot of money. So it was like I had to go within. I had to get big. I had to overcome this environment and stay positive. So it was a huge thing, man.
That's a really big shift. I have something similar that I can relate to you on is like so I was in Chicago and I moved to South Florida. So I just moved the other way around the country. But I came to South Florida and I knew one person. Like I moved here just to move in with a roommate that lived down here, that we knew from Bikram yoga teacher training. So when I moved here, similar to you, man, like one person. And I was like, you get there. And then when I arrived, like he already was established and had a routine and work and friend, like all these things, and I didn't know anybody. So I remember like the first few days, you get like a honeymoon stage, and then like all of a sudden, like you like go outside your bedroom door and like nobody's there. Like, and it's like, what does Pedro Luna do? Like, what do I do? Like, where do I go? Like, where's the gas station?
Dude, I hear you, bro. It's like an identity crisis. Yeah. Like you start to realize, and what I started to realize was how I relied so much on my external environment to make me happy. I needed people to reaffirm to myself that like I was whatever, I was popular, whatever it was. Like I realized, like I was like, wow, like, and I had to get real with myself. Like, wow, like I'm actually lonely. I'm actually a little depressed right now. Like I'm actually in this position. And when I came out here, I was talking to this girl who I met in Michigan, and she moved out here like a year before me, and we weren't really dating, but she was kind of like that. We had a thing. And when I came out here, we broke up. Like we decided to split ways, and she was like the one person that like I felt very safe with. So I was in just this really interesting state. And then, as I changed more and grew, and I had to evolve, man. And that's when I gained a good friend group. Um, I started dating this other girl, and we got really close, and it was just a whole nother friend group. But then, bro, I had another awakening of like, yo, these people aren't the right people, and then I started to question my relationship with the business I was a part of with Vibe Source, and I was like, I don't know if this is where I need to be. And I stayed in that mindset for, oh man, like 6 months. And I knew if I left that, I would once again have nothing. Because although I was lonely, like I was still hanging out with that group of people. But the thing with LA is that like 90% of all my relationships or more were business related. So I knew if I cut the business ties, a lot of the personal ties are going to come with that. So I was always fearful because that's an unknown. And I didn't know what would happen to me from a happiness standpoint, from an internal standpoint, if I made the jump to be like, yo, I'm done. But like that was so fucking scary. And like Spencer was the one that brought me out here, and I didn't want to like leave them. But yeah, man, I had a huge awakening. I went to a Dr. Joe Dispenza event, and it was a 7-day like meditation retreat. And I realized at that retreat that I needed to go, and I asked for the universe to give me a sign that I needed to leave and jump completely into this unknown. And right before all of this, like a month earlier, I broke up with the girl I was with. So I was just like, the friends thing was like starting to isolate again. And I knew, I was like, all right, if I make this decision to leave Vibe Source and Spencer and my homies, like who I was with every single day, I'm going to really have to get very big within my own being. And, I made the jump, man. And it was absolutely, to this day, the scariest thing I've ever had to do, because these were my brothers, these were my best friends. But I knew I needed to go. I just knew. And the universe granted me the sign, and I followed it, and I believed in something bigger. And when I did that, dude, my life became absolutely insane. And that's what I've been living for these last like 7, 8 months, dude. And I'm at the point I can't even keep up with my own life anymore. Um,
Bro, that is inspiring AF.
thanks, man.
Inspiring AF as fuck. Your story, everything's been finding yourself, introspective. I'm
Mhm.
hearing that you talk to yourself. Describe before
Yeah.
Dr. Joe. Like, are you before, like, are you deep in yourself, walking to the beach, and you're like, oh shit, like, I'm introspective? Yeah, tell me about your process. Tell me about your process, bro.
Oh man. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, dude, I've always been into like these deep philosophical concepts and the
Yeah.
law of attraction and all this like deep wisdom. And I always knew it was true. Like I never really questioned it. And any of my friends will tell you, especially my friends from high school, um, they will tell you I've just always been this really deep kid. I've just always been
I see.
so introspective. And I think the bigger thing is like I just believe that I'm a creator. I know. Like it's
100%.
not like it's just such a knowingness. It's like I know at my core that I create my reality. So when you actually understand that, you view life very differently. So you're willing to take risk because you know something greater can occur. But I think my process, I mean, I've always been into meditation, but it wasn't really until like a little bit before December of last year did I start to get very serious with meditation. I'm talking like an hour minimum a day. And that's when I started having very profound mystical experiences where I was like collapsing timelines from my past. I was seeing all this crazy stuff, and I was connecting to something bigger, and I knew I was. And I think when you connect, and whatever that might be for people, source, God, your guides, your higher self, whatever it is, I think it's really all the same in my opinion. You know, you have a different outlook on all of this reality. So, I think I've always been very deep, but I think really the last year it went up. It like took a million steroids because I had to. I didn't like what else was I gonna do? I had to grow. And I was like this from my childhood as well. When I suffered with anxiety, suicidal thoughts, depression, all that stuff, I had to get big. What other choice do you have? Like I could be miserable my whole life, or I can grow through this because I always know there is more. So my process is an interesting one now. I mean, now it's very concrete. Like I wake up, meditate for an hour and a half to hour and 15 minutes every single morning. I haven't missed a day.
What's your morning routine?
It's a little bit different every day. Today I woke up pretty early at like 5:30, but I try to get like 6 to 7 hours of sleep a night. So it depends what time I go to bed. But some days, I wake up really early because when you're in that tired state, you can have really good meditations. But I wake up, meditate, and I don't know. Meditation for me has become this skill where like I just hit the sweet spot in the morning, and it's just if I can like wake up and have a breakthrough the first like hour and a half I'm up, I'm gonna have a great day, and that happens literally every morning for me. Then I come out, I do an ice bath, I just make myself a little bit uncomfortable, and I put myself in these uncomfortable situations to start my day, because if I can get uncomfortable and break through in the beginning, like the rest of the day is going to be a cakewalk. So,
So is it an hour in the morning where you get those breakthroughs, an hour meditation?
yeah. So I started having massive breakthroughs when I started hitting that hour and a half range of meditations. Like, dude, it's connecting to the field, man. I could feel the energy. Like it's a powerful energy. So, that's when like my life just really started to change. I mean, just night and day, man, just so drastically.
That's awesome, man. I could totally relate. I'm on a meditation journey myself. I started February of this year. I downloaded Insight Timer, the meditation app. I committed to 90 days, just try 90 days. I don't have a meditation practice before, but I'm just going to try 90 days. I don't know if it's going to help me or what, but let me just do 90 days. I started practicing yoga back in 2016. I just did it for my body. My body felt great. Body felt open, getting in shape, feeling good. But I always knew that there was something deeper to this practice. So that's when I really challenged myself to meditation in February. And I'm a fast starter. So I start something and it's hard for me to finish things. It's just my weakness. And I found that out doing meditation. But morning routines. So I watched Ed Milet video and also Jim Quick video about morning routines and how important it is to meditate first thing, gratitude, and also not looking at your phone for the first 30 minutes to 60 minutes right when you wake up, just because it gives you a reactive mind. But the meditation, so starting the first 30 days, 10 minutes was so tough for me to do. Just sit there for 10 minutes. The second month, 20 minutes was tough for me to do, but I was progressing. Third month, 30 minutes was tough for me to do. But like 30 minutes was like my sweet spot. But this week I hit 6 months meditation in a row. And last week I told myself I'm going to sit here for an hour. I'm going to sit here for an hour because 30 minutes is my sweet spot. But that hour felt like 4 hours because I wanted to get out of it. After about 20, 30 minutes, just my mind knew I was sitting here for longer. I was getting antsy. I wanted to get out of it. And I kept asking myself, like, why do I want to get out of it?
Dr. Joe talks about this all the time. Like that chatter happening is your body trying to talk you out of possibility, because our body is a lot of people's body is their mind. Their body drags them through their reality, and it's on its own programs. And your body's like, yo, at this time I'm usually texting or drinking coffee or I'm eating, and you're saying, your mind is saying, no, I'm the mind. We're going to sit here. And Dr. Joe, this is like the foundation of his work, is like, that is the moment the breakthrough occurs, when you take charge and you say, no, 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 body, we're going to sit here, we're going to meditate, we're going to breathe, we're going to let go. And dude, you just have this crazy liberation of energy. It's happened to me so many times.
You guys are inspiring the shit out of me. I can't imagine how many people that are listening to this right now are getting inspired too, to sit down and start. Just, you got to start though, just start.
Just start. I think, people who struggle with anxiety, and that was me for pretty much my whole life until this year. It's tough in the beginning, man. I mean, you're going against yourself. And my thing though is like, I've had people tell me like, oh, I can't sit down and meditate because I have so much racing thoughts and I don't know what to do with them. And all I say is, listen, bro, those thoughts are always there in the background. Like, so wouldn't you rather face them in meditation so they can go away? Because that's what changing our energy is. Like Dr. Joe says it all the time. Your personality creates your personal reality. Well, what's your personality? It's just a combination of your thoughts, your habits, your actions, all that stuff. Well, if you can't become aware of what if you're scared to know what you're thinking about, like I always tell people, it's already happening in the background. So conquer it by meditation. And then they go away and you realize you're just clear. You're not thinking about anything but this present moment, and you can be present with people and people can see that in you. And I think, that's a level of mastery as human beings. And I think we're all here to do that. But it takes an act of will. Like a lot of girls that I've been friends with and had relations with, they always say my approach to change is very masculine, because I believe in pushing through that pain or that chatter, because on the other side of that is the rewards. And I always push people all the time. Like when people come over all the time to do ice baths, I push them. And I don't know if this is right or wrong, but when they're done, they're like, thank you. Like I couldn't have done that if you didn't give me that extra push. And if they would have got out 5 seconds earlier, they would have missed the breakthrough. So I'm always myself. The biggest breakthroughs I've ever had was like when my mind and my brain is in high beta, just completely chaotic. And then all of a sudden, boom, order happens. And this happens to me all the time at Dr. Joe retreats. Like, you think you're freaking losing your mind. I mean, every program and piece of baggage and trauma from your past is coming to the surface, and you're just sitting with it and you're overcoming yourself. And it's right after that moment the magic happens. But so many people give up in that moment. So
because it's so painful. I mean, it's hard to describe. Just doing that hour meditation, it felt like 4 hours. It felt like eternity, even though it was an hour. But getting past that breakthrough for me was so painful, but it was just in my mind. I had to tell myself, just sit the fuck through it another 5 minutes, just a little bit longer. Just do it. Just get through it. Just tell my brain, like, hey, sit, get through it. I'm in control of this.
We are, man. And so many people fall victims to their own thoughts, but we can control them. We have all the tools. This is the age. It's happening. I mean, this is the age of information. There's knowledge is readily available at our fingertips through Google, through social media. And, that's why I'm so passionate about what I do we can get into this now, I guess.
Go ahead. Yeah, great transition. With all the information available at your fingertips, a lot of it is because of you.
Yeah, for sure.
The information is available. It's because of you that the information is available. Over 60 million views on your vids. Like, let us lay it out there for us, bro.
Oh man, dude, it's crazy to think about. It's probably more. Yeah. That's just what I've been able to calculate. But whew. So yeah, I have a social media agency, and I specifically work with people in the spirituality space, and I'm all about just helping them spread their messages on a massive scale and bringing my expertise, which is really content creation and more specifically viral content creation, to these personalities and brands, and leveraging my network of influencers on Instagram to spread these just beautiful messages. And it's a really rewarding thing to go through, man, because I'm able to see just this knowledge reaching people who may have never found it if they didn't, find like Dr. Joe or one of my clients like on social media. And it's just, I'm so passionate about it because for me, the way I see it is like I'm a piece of expanding this global consciousness. I mean, for example, I took on Dr. Joe's account in January. It had right around like 95,000 followers. And, we're at like 495,000 now. So I don't want to take,
Amazing. Changing
I
the
don't want to
world,
take all,
bro.
thank you, man. I don't want to take all the credit for that, but, I have a formula that works in social. I know how to blow people up. And just this last retreat I went to of his in Portland, I mean, one of the craziest meditations I've ever had in my entire life. I pretty much got shown, and I don't share this stuff with a lot of people. I like to kind of keep my mystical moments to myself, but I'll just share this because it just was so touching.
You're about to share with millions, bro. It's that laid out there.
Yeah, man. And this might sound extremely woo woo to some people, but that's okay. I got shown, like, I don't know how to put this into words because it transcends like our ability to communicate. But like, I got shown how my efforts were impacting not the life of 100 people, not the life of 1,000 people, the life of millions of people. And I had an energy run through my body that the only way I can describe it is just divine, infinite love. Like, not love like you experience from like your girlfriend. Like, this is a love from an intelligence that just loves you so much. I just don't know how else to even say it. And dude, my heart blew open in a way I didn't know was possible. And when it was happening, I wasn't creating this. It was happening to me. I want to make that clear. Like, this was happening to me. I wasn't trying to conjure up this in my imagination. This was very real for me in this moment. And I was so deep in meditation, but this love, I couldn't accept it. I was trying to push it away. I said, no, no, no. Like, and it was showing me my efforts and it was showing me what I'm doing on this planet. And I was like, no, 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 like, no, 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 like, it's not, it's like, I was trying to like push it away, but as I pushed away more, it was giving me more love. It's like just making me receive this love, receive this love. And dude, I surrendered to it, bro. And I mean, I cried nonstop for like 2 hours because it was so big. I didn't know how to handle it. And that for me, that changed that really did so. I came out of that a different person because whether it was real or not, like what was happening, it was real for me. Like, I felt it in my heart. And it gave so much purpose to my work. And I was like, wow, this is way bigger than me. This is like really big. And I am just so grateful to be in a position to be working with such cool spiritual leaders. And yeah, man, it's just such a cool position to be in. Like, what more could I want with my life than to spread this knowledge? I've been wanting to do. That was my dream when I was 16 or 17 when I learned about the law of attraction. I just told myself, it's like, wow, all I want to do is spread this knowledge. I just want to share this with people because I know how life changing it is, and I'm doing that in like an indirect way through other people. But now I'm really getting to the point where I'm gonna go. I mean, I am going really hard behind the scenes on my personal brand, and I just have a lot of cool stuff coming out that I'm just excited to share. Like, why not use these platforms for good? I truly believe this social media is what's going to change the world, no doubt, because it's not controlled. Like, the government, whatever you believe in, like, it's power to the people. You can share whatever you want, whenever you want, with whoever you want, and there's no filters. Like, it's not on the news where they can edit it and this and that. It's like you can share whatever it is going on or your experiences. And dude, that is what's going to turn the tides to all this. I truly, truly believe that in my heart. And that's why I think I have such a, like, I don't want to say like obsession, because I think that's kind of a negative word, but it is kind of like an obsession to spread this knowledge, because now I'm seeing like from that mystical experience, that meditation, I'm seeing it have this ripple effect, man. And it's big, dude. Like it's big stuff. So I'm just grateful.
Man, that is so fucking powerful, bro. So powerful. Especially you're 23, doing the law of attraction, just had this amazing spiritual loving experience. And there's so many people out there, so many people that are going to listen to us that especially with mental health issues, you hear all the negative things with social media and just the news plays that out. And your story is powerful. You're providing people value, changing millions of people's lives. Keep up that shit, bro. Seriously. That's what this country needs.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. And for so long, I struggled with like, I was always like, yo, it's sharing this, like my ego, like trying to get like feedback from the people that follow me.
Chasing those
but
likes.
Chasing likes,
chasing
doing
likes.
whatever.
Yeah,
and then I just had this huge epiphany. I was like, no, the ego is that right there. Saying that this is my ego. Like for me, it's just, yo, if I have something that helps me, I'm going to share it. If I have a breakthrough, I should share it because it shows people it's possible. It's like, it's like at Dr. Joe's events, for example, we always have people who, we see, just crazy shit go down. People walk out of wheelchairs, like blind people seeing again, all within this retreat. Like it's only 7 days. And usually day 3, day 4, people start walking out of their wheelchairs and all this crazy stuff. So Dr. Joe brings them on the stage. And when you see a person and they were in their wheelchair and they're talking on the stage, standing, dancing around, that's truth to me. That's evidence of like, yo, this stuff actually works. So it's giving people like that 4-minute mile, like, yo, it's possible. That lady is just a normal lady. I was talking to her on Monday and she was in a wheelchair. Now it's Thursday and she's on this stage. Like that's beautiful. So I view it the same way with social media. It's like, how can we just share our experience to give people a potential, an idea to spark something within them to become great? And that's like what my whole personal brand's going to be around, is just inspiring people to live up to our potential, man, because we have been completely lied to about all of this. And it doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. You can do whatever you want. And I know it sounds super cliche or whatever, but that is the absolute truth, especially when you start to study some of these ancient civilizations that understood the power of the mind and how we are creators, we are divine beings. And when you harness that power, man, manifesting money, manifesting your dreams is not hard. You realize we're designed to do this. Like it's built in us. We just got to tap into those deeper reservoirs, which is where the healing comes in, because you can't become the best creator if you're have all these programs from your traumatic past. You have to overcome that. And that's why I'm so driven to show people how to do that, because I definitely don't have it all figured out, but I feel like I've healed some really deep stuff within me, and especially when it comes to mental health. And I just want to share that message.
Just
spread it.
sharing. It's like growing through what you're going through, and like, and like holding the space and giving people the tools and the opportunities to do that. And you're absolutely on the path that you're already doing that, but you're on the path of building your own thing to do that as well. And that's going to be amazing whenever that comes out. Like, please let me know, like whatever you're creating, can you please let me know so that I can be a part of it?
Oh, you'll see it, bro. We're going hard, man. I like we kind of talked about, I'm not like this super materialistic guy. All the money I make, I just reinvest it into my business.
Yep.
And
it's because you got no kids, bro, sucking out all your sucking your wallet.
Not yet.
I know, bro.
But yeah, I'm gonna just invest really hard into making my content really good. And I've already filmed a handful of stuff, and I'm just really excited, man. I just want to help. Like I just want to be a beacon of light for just some people.
Right. I agree with that. Like stay on kids for 1 second there. You said I don't have kids yet. Instagram is a younger demographic. So by you putting out the content that you're putting out, you are definitely helping to raise the vibration of the younger generation faster. People weren't waking up as fast as they are now. Back, like, let's call it back in the day, like it wasn't happening. There was like an older generation of people that let's use Dr. Joe as just an example. Older generation of people that go to those events, right? Older generation of people that do these spiritual retreats with whoever the leader may be, and sign, Deepak Chopra, name the names. But I think now people are growing up super aware faster, and I think that the social aspect is the influence behind it. And what you're doing is opening the door for the younger generation to wake up faster. So I'm curious to see down the road how much faster kids wake up than they did, 10, 15, 20, even when I was a kid, or Brian, when we were in school.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be crazy, man. I mean, it's happening at rapid speed. And, I think that's where the power of social media and the power of becoming an influencer comes in, because the way I see it is a lot of kids are drawn to, like, I mean, maybe not all kids, but a lot of kids, like, they see the flashy cars and the money and this and that kind of pulls them in, right? But what if we could almost play that game, but have it really just be a bridge to a deeper understanding? And that's kind of what I see with my brand. Is I don't have a problem getting on a podcast and talking about money. Like, I don't think that makes me or anyone else any more or less spiritual. I believe the more spiritual you become, you just kind of realize that money's just energy. So if we can use our platforms and get these big influencers who already have these massive reaches to just sprinkle these seeds in, those seeds can germinate into something really big. And that's kind of my mission with my platform, is like, yes, I'm an ultra spiritual guy, and yes, I'm into all this weird stuff, but I think Dr. Joe puts it in a really elegant way. He says, like, you need to have 1 foot in the quantum realm and 1 foot in this realm. And that's what a true master can do, is they can navigate the realms. And Dr. Joe, for me, hands down, is the biggest bridge in all of this. Like, at the front end of his content, you see it's like neuroscience and blah, 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 blah. When you get to this event, dude, things change. I mean, we're talking about deep stuff, and people are having all types of crazy mystical experiences. And I think he's done a really great job at being just such a beautiful bridge. And I've always seen that for myself as well, which is why when you look at my Instagram, you wouldn't necessarily know I'm into all this stuff. And it's not because I'm being inauthentic. It's because I understand if I go so balls deep so quickly, I'm going to lose people. And that is a disservice to them, because I know I can be a really powerful bridge. Because I also, at one point, although I've always been deep, I wasn't always like spiritual and like tapped in and meditating every day. So I like to stay very grounded in my being, so I can be that beautiful bridge, so we can influence and help this next generation and make spirituality cool, because it is fucking cool. When you're a creator, dude, you feel like you're Harry Potter. Like, you feel like you have magic, and you feel like you can do whatever it is you want with whoever you want, whenever you want. And that for me is success, and that for me is cool. And I just want to just really show people how to do that. And I mean, what better way than social media? It's one thing I want to say to anybody who's listening is, like, social media is one of the most powerful tools, because what you feed your mind every day is going into your subconscious mind. So I challenge everybody right now, if you're listening, to go through your followers and just look at these people. Like, are they adding value to your life? Or is this just like a bunch of celebrities and rappers who really aren't adding any value to your life? And I go through this every 3 to 6 months. I'll just go through and monitor who I'm following, and I've unfollowed so many people, and now my social media, I don't see anything negative ever. It's because I've created that in this environment. Like, if I'm going to be on this app and work from this app 24/7, it better be filled with good stuff. And I'm always seeing positivity, and it's almost like a dream board while I'm scrolling through this stuff, because only good things are seeping in. But I made the conscious decision to be that filter of, like, yo, I don't know, some rapper, this Lil whatever, isn't adding value to my life anymore, so I'm going to unfollow him, because this is feeding my mind negative stuff. I don't need this. This isn't helping me
it's
grow.
so true what you said. That's an extra tool that I'm going to put in my toolbox. Followers and even on my personal page, just going through and evaluating. I like what you say, bridging the gap on the spiritual process. I love Dr. Joe. I'm in the process of reading Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. That book is
Great
awesome.
book.
I'm in the meditation part.
Beautiful.
Amazing book, changed my life. First week, just getting my brain waves down. Second week, going through my shit. But I went and saw Dr. Joe in like June 7th, I believe. And it was amazing. But in terms of bridging the gap, I looked at my email and I went and saw Dr. Joe in 2012. And I don't even remember that because I just wasn't tuned into that frequency at that time. I went with my dad. He brought me along. I wasn't interested in that at the time, but it's great that you said bridging the gap because people go on social media and they're not looking for spiritual stuff. They're going to scroll right past it and not even care. Not
Absolutely, man. I would have never been interested in Dr. Joe if he was that guy because I've had my own experiences with quote unquote gurus, and I realized that most of it's bullshit. So Dr. Joe is such a practical, grounded individual. So it was like a breath of fresh air. Like, wow, this guy isn't just like this basket case, just talking about all this like esoteric knowledge. It's like grounded in science. It's grounded in practicality. And that for me, like gave me this huge realization of like, wow, like because of that, it allows me to look so much deeper into his other stuff because it's just a bridge. And
exactly. People want that science. People want that science. Oh, quantum meditation. And it's like, okay, is there science behind that? And normally it's like, no, I just feel it. But when you have that science behind it, it's like, okay, this is legit.
Right. And like to go back to that mystical moment I was having, like Dr. Joe and his team have been able to capture people's brainwaves in those mystical experiences. And they have the science. They have legit brain scans. And if I had to guess, I was probably in gamma brainwave patterns, which is like super consciousness, where anything happening in your mind is more real than anything you're seeing in this physical reality. So you're having an experience, and they have the science to show like when that happens, you go into gamma brainwaves and you're completely coherent, like a sea of coherence in your brain, in your heart. And that's just evidence that if you're that coherent in that state, there must be more to this than we think. So yeah, man, it's all grounded in really practical stuff. And yeah, it's beautiful.
How
dude.
freaking amazing is that you get to work for Dr. Joe Dispenza. I mean, he's an amazing dude. And basically absorb all the stuff that he has. You're going to help so many people, bro.
Oh, dude, I mean, it's given me the opportunity to, I've grown more in the last 7 months than any period of my life. Boom. Because I've been to like 6-week-long retreats where I'm working, but I get to attend like 90% of these because, I just work in when he's lecturing, but I always catch the meditations. And dude, it's just completely altered every aspect of myself. So I'm grateful, man. And I just, I want to help spread that. And I want to bring that to other people because I know what it's done for me. So it gives me purpose.
Spread the love, man. Spread the light. Spread the light, spread the love. Do you think that that experience that you were talking about, the gamma with the love from all the people, the millions, do you think that was the most powerful experience you've had in meditation?
Oh man.
Or is there another one that you've had that was like super profound?
Man, it's hard to say because it just keeps evolving itself. I have experiences every day now. I mean, it's getting kind of weird, but
the rabbit is the rabbit hole endless? I'm not sure, guys. Do you think that the rabbit hole is endless? Like, it just keeps going?
I don't know, man. I just realized like every time I had these experiences, I just realized like I'm just choosing to choose myself. Like we as humans just need to choose us, and we're everything. Like we are everything. Like you are me, I am you. And I never understood like oneness as I understand it now. And I've had that understanding through these very extreme deep meditations. But yeah, man, I had another one that was just way out of this world where I always hold back from talking about these because it's out here. But
lay it on us if you want.
I
Lay it on us.
I'm just gonna lay it on you. Okay, so oh god,
Can I form this into words? Let's find out.
Yeah, it's really hard. Okay, so as you guys, I've kind of sprinkled in here how I struggled with very extreme anxiety when I was young. Well, I had this experience one time where I was in high school. It was the last day of school. I was on an Adderall because it was midterms, and I wasn't prescribed Adderall. I just, I was that guy. And that never resonated with me, like that energy, because it's really high. Like Adderall just gets you like really like amped up, and I don't know. I was so young, dude. I was so young. I was like 16 years old. Well, then after that, we came home from school. It's the last day of school. We're gonna have fun. Well, we decided to smoke a little bit of marijuana. And being someone who struggled with anxiety, marijuana has never sat well with me. Like it just never did. Well, I got no good, bro. I got really high, man. And mixed with the Adderall, dude, it was a recipe for disaster. Panic attack galore, dude. I was telling my friends, I was like, dude, you guys gotta call 911, like I'm gonna die. Like it was just so extra, but it was real. I was really scared. I really thought I was gonna die. Well, oh my god, yeah, man. It was a million miles per hour.
He was the heartbeat, bro.
Yeah, dude. Well, then what happened was I fainted because I worked myself up into this state of like I'm gonna die, and I believed, and as we know, like your beliefs are so powerful that I actually fainted. And this kind of scarred me because it was really embarrassing because I was with my best friends. I can't get a grip on myself, and I had like this very like depersonalized feeling where I just felt so out of my body. And that's what happened in this 3D reality. Okay, so that's the experience, and that really bothered me for a long time. And of course, that level of anxiety, and I'm talking, this wasn't 5 minutes. This was, 6 to 8 hours of experiencing this. Horrible, dude, horrible. And I just wanted to go to the hospital because I thought I was dying and all this stuff. Well, in this meditation, I was just meditating.
Like at home, or where we give context. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. I was just at home, just in my room, and dude, all of a sudden, I am re-experiencing that exact moment. But I just got like dimensional. Like I just traveled dimensions, but this time, I wasn't the Anton experience. I was a greater version of myself that was assisting that Anton in that process, telling me, you're okay, you're going to get through this, I'm here with you, just breathe. And it was me telling me what to do. It was the most trippy thing. And dude, I was able to like become my old self all in the present moment from what I understood, and like delete the experience. Like I didn't have the panic attack. I wasn't falling over. I wasn't fainting. I wasn't worrying. And dude, all of a sudden it was like I collapsed that entire timeline, and my whole physical body in real life now where I was meditating had this release, dude, this energy moved through my body, and this like at the crown of my head, this intense pressure, and it just built out, and my whole body just like contortions and all this weird stuff started happening. And I came out of that meditation and I realized that a couple things. I realized time is not linear, that it's actually stacked, and everything's actually happening in an internal now. And I realized we can affect the past and we can affect the future because it's all one big now. And I realized that after that, a moment I did that and had that whole experience, my anxiety in real life, like in the physical right now, was so changed because that experience, I didn't realize how much it scarred me, but it really messed with me. But I changed it. So it wasn't real. It was in a different body. I was a different person after that. So I came back, and that was one of my first mystical moments. And dude, it just changed me. I didn't know any of that stuff was possible. Like I'd never even thought of that stuff before. So
that is so powerful, and 100%. I believe everything that you said, because I did a quantum jump meditation before I went deep down the rabbit hole with Dr. Joe. I just did it at the yoga studio that I did my teacher training. At the time, I was not meditating at all, and it was an hour-long meditation. And I'm like, I'm not going to be in this meditation too long. But I was deep into this meditation. I remember the morning before, the same day I meditated, and the morning before, I was doing some yoga, and I felt someone was watching me. And I was like, oh, there must be a ghost in here. But when I went and did this quantum jump meditation, the facilitator was like, now go back through your day and observe yourself just in your normal day today. Just observe yourself. Watch what you're doing. And I was observing myself that morning, and I knew 100% that I was the one observing myself, which freaked me out. Super deep, super crazy, time shift, time collapsing, 100% powerful.
It's what deep stuff, dude, and it might go over some people's heads. And I don't want this stuff to turn anybody off from going into this world of meditation. But, I think I think this type of talk is going to become very normal. And once again, man, we're supernatural beings. This isn't everything we think it is from a reality standpoint. So I think being open to something greater can really change us and have us heal on really deep levels, because Dr. Joe talks about this all the time. People try to heal matter to matter. Like, they try to affect matter. They try to, take pills. They try to get massage. They try to do acupuncture. Like, they try to do all this stuff, but this reality, 99.9% of it is energy. It's from a scientific standpoint, like this physical, this desk, this computer, that's only 0.01% of this reality. So why do we focus so much on the particle, the matter? Why don't we focus on the energy, which is the really what's real, the 99%? So if we want to heal, we have to go deep energetically, because our body stores this emotions and these traumas energetically within our physical tissue. So when we change that vibration energetically, and we have these big releases and these experiences where we start to really shed these layers, that's where the real healing becomes. And it's coming from within, which is I love. Like, we don't have to go anywhere outside of us to heal. We don't need a guru. We are the guru. We're choosing ourselves. Like, that's the only way I could say it. And I'm just shown this time in and time again through these meditations. Like, we are our own healers. We are our own masters. Of course, we can have other evolved beings help guide the way, but a true master just points you to the door. You have to walk through it.
Right?
I mean,
yeah, exactly. Like you said, to the listeners out there, if you're listening to us, this is super deep, and you're like, I can never attain that, or I can never get there. It's baby steps. It's a baby process. Steps. It Absolutely. Is all self-study. We're just going deep internally inside and what affects us. If you can do 5 minutes a day, 4 times a week, start small. It takes time.
Yeah, take the small wins, just the small wins along the way.
Absolutely.
And just starting, just starting anything. Like, I've been starting this, I've been starting running, like a run journey. So that's like it's not seated meditation, but it's like a new experience for me, right? And it's like, okay, I'm just going to start like whatever it is. And it's like, like something super simple, like you run for a minute and walk for like 90 seconds. And then you just start there. And it's like, well, if I didn't start that, like, I'm not just going to get out here and sit for an hour. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to get out here and run a half a marathon tomorrow. That's not going to happen either, So like, just, be that's the one thing for a listener as well, just what you guys reiterate, just to reiterate that, it's just like, just be kind to yourself, be patient with yourself, and, just start.
Just start. And the start is what stops most people.
Yep. Yeah.
That's it.
Talk themselves out of it super quick, like, I can't do it. Like, just go just give it a minute. Over there for 1 minute. Right there, wherever you are.
Yep.
Yeah,
be uncomfortable for 2 minutes and sit there.
Yep.
And embrace that discomfort.
Embrace that discomfort so that change can happen, so the breakthroughs can happen. You know what I mean? Okay, Anton, before we wrap this thing up here in a minute, man, I want to know about the ice bath, because you talked about it earlier, I want to know about that ice bath, because you talked about it a little bit earlier and we didn't get to hit on it. But so you have an ice bath at your house. Yes? Is this true?
This is true.
Okay.
This is true.
And tell me about this mindset with the ice bath, and like how does that relate to your meditation? Are you meditating in there? What is going on with the ice bath?
Oh man, what a great! I love this thing, dude. It's like a love-hate relationship. It's hilarious. It's really cold. It's so fun, man. I learned about this through this guy Wim Hof. He's kind of blowing up right now as well, and he just talked about how he was able to heal himself by like going in this ice, and it was able to like bring him to the present moment. And I was so intrigued when I first heard about this. I was like, what the fuck? This doesn't make any sense. What is this guy talking about? But then there was all this science he was doing that was showing he was able to hack into his immune system and fight off these injections that the doctors were giving him and all this crazy stuff, dude. And I was like, okay, like there's clearly something with this guy, with this ice. Like I'm just gonna look into this. So I had this idea of like, yo, why don't I just go buy a garage freezer and just put it at my house? Like, I was like, why not? So that's exactly what I did.
Did you use your flip game skills to find it?
No, I just, dude, it was like really cheap. It was like $200 from Home Depot. One of the best things I ever bought, to be honest. It's brought in so much community to my home. It's beautiful. Well, anyways, dude, like, once again, it's all an evolution. And I think when I first started it, it was about just, okay, how much can I withstand this cold? Like, how long can I go? So I do this breathing before sometimes to like alkalize my body, charge my body up, kind of get my adrenaline going so I can withstand these extreme temperatures. I mean, it's like 37, 38 degrees in there. It's cold, man. There's ice. There's ice in the hole all along the walls. Like it's hilarious, dude. So I just started going in there and just really pushing myself. And I realized really quickly that all things are just in our mind. Like it's stress, the way we perceive it, it's all a mindset. So it's really a good tool to kind of like measure for me, it's a good tool to tell me where I'm at on any given day. How deep can I go within myself to become not my body? How do I become not my body when there's so much cold on my body, but you can go so deep into your mind where you're not cold. You're like yesterday, I did 10 minutes, no problem, no breathing, nothing. I didn't breathe before. Like they say that shouldn't be possible. Like I should be like having like some like hypothermia or whatever. Like it's cold, but I didn't even do the breath. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to go deep within my mind. I get in, and the first minute too is really tough. And then I drop deep, man. Like I'm deep, and you're so eternally present. You can't think about your problems and your bills and your girlfriend and your stress. You don't got time, dude. You're trying to survive. Your body's
no
going
time. Anybody got time for that?
Well, the key is when your body goes into fight or flight, you breathe. You show your body it's safe, and you hack into your brain, man. And you're at the door of your subconscious. And dude, I've had some really deep, really beautiful experiences, and it's just kind of become this thing. Like every week I have some people come over, and it's just fun for me to like guide them through this and have these breakthroughs. And it's a really good intro for people who maybe aren't into this stuff, because you just prove to yourself that you're way more powerful than you think. And when you can like sit in this cold and you're like, holy shit, I've been in here for 2 minutes and I think I'm going to die. And then you just go for another minute, another 60 seconds. Every time I look at people, they just get a smile on their face, and they're just happy that they overcame themselves in some shape or form. And that's an evolution of humanity. I think that's like a deeper tapping into deeper reservoirs as a human to just prove to yourself that you can do this thing. So it's become part of my daily practice, man. I look forward to it. Now, some days, of course, I hate it, but the days I usually don't want to get in turn out being the best days for it, because like, what is the ice teaching me? Is it teaching me restlessness? Do I just want to get out? Do I just want to get to my work? Like, what is it? And each time I'm like, let me just like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just sitting in this iPad. I'm present and in the ice. And dude, that's what this is about, being in the present moment. Like, I think if you could live your day to day and be completely present, that for me is that's like a level of enlightenment. Like, you're not thinking about anything else but this moment, this podcast, this conversation. And that's really powerful, man. That's like really powerful stuff. So the ice has definitely been a huge catalyst and helped me get to that level.
Just how the universe is working. Wim Hof, I had no clue about Wim Hof or cold things like that until I went to Dr. Joe Dispenza's event June 7th. And I had lunch and I didn't know anyone. I'm sitting by myself and this guy sat by me. And we were just talking about just how do you know Dr. Joe Dispenza? And he's like, oh, I don't do yoga, but I do this Wim Hof breathing. And he's like, have you heard Wim Hof breathing? I'm like, I've never heard this. He's asking if there's any cold creeks in the area so he can jump in and do breathing. I'm like, what the fuck? I had to Google this shit.
Anton, 5 years from now, bro, what does the personal brand look like and what are you doing? Wrap it up with that. 5 years from now, how are you killing it and what are you doing?
Oh man, what a great question. The thing I always focus on, man, is just becoming a more evolved version of Anton. Um, I love this concept of mastery. I read books about masters. I just think it's so interesting. And for me, man, I guess from a more literal standpoint, I think my business will be extremely successful. From a impact standpoint, of course, what follows that is, of course, financial success. I think I'll be more hands off with it, though. I obviously have employees now and whatnot, but I'm very in it right now, especially when it comes to Dr. Joe. I do 100% of everything when it comes to his account. But like me personally, I think it's just gonna be really big, man. I think I'm gonna be traveling the world. I already travel the world, but
So you're already around the world.
and
Speaking?
sharing, like,
Do you want to speak?
yeah. I think so. I think holding retreats and breath workshops and meditations and um, growing within Joe's community, being a team leader and helping assist there. I mean, that's just where I really light up. Um, I think, man, it's just a hard question because it's hard to put 5 years on it. I just know like where I'm going, and I guess I don't always attach a number to it, but I guess I'll just give you my end kind of vision is I totally see myself just helping people in a very personal way. Like, whether it's retreats, whether it's through social media, whether it's through courses, whatever it is, I just see myself just helping the masses and overcome anxiety, overcome depression, find their purpose, live their dreams, believe themselves on a really big scale, bro. Because I know how to do it from a practical like business standpoint. I know how to grow a brand. I mean, I know how to do it, and I think when you're authentic, it happens naturally, and a good message always finds the right people. So I think, yeah, man, I see myself. Maybe I'll have a serious relationship, and maybe I'll be in that realm as well. I don't know, but
Yeah, the kids,
yeah, man, I just
bro.
think from maybe who knows. They're not on the radar now, but dude, anything can change. But yeah, man, I just think the impact. That's what I focus on is just how can I just serve humanity in just a large way. I just want to be a vessel, man. I just want to just, yeah.
Catalyst for change, man, and you are absolutely doing that. You are absolutely doing that every single time you put out a piece of content. Every time you're doing your inner work. When I think about that, like, get out of your own way. When you're doing the work, all the rest of the stuff is happening. Like it's all happening. It's gonna match your vibration.
Yeah, man. And it's not about like me or you or anybody. It's just about the mission of just helping the human race, dude. Service. Like, it's just
Service.
that's what we're here for. And that's what I think brings life like super deep meaning and purpose. Like, help yourself, but then in turn give away from your full cup and just give back, because that fills your cup more. And yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm just so grateful.
Anton, thank you for taking the time, man. We really appreciate you.
Thank you so much for listening to the Yogi Show podcast. Pedro and myself, Yogi Brian, are so grateful for you. Please tell your friends. Please share the podcast. Please comment and leave a review. You can also check out theyogishow.com. We provide all the show notes there. And the song on the intro and outro is by DJ Taz Rashid. The song's called Inspiration Drive. Great addition to your yoga class playlist. Great music. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Namaste.